us. We were waiting for a volunteer to give us a demo, which will be Stella. Just as Stella prepares herself, I can just show something small just to kick off some of the ideas we might have moving forward. So here I had a small slide which you can see, which gives you an idea of some areas that you might be looking at: agriculture, water, urbanization, coasts, and forest. So this is an example of how we can assess food security, looking at the crop phenology or even the crop health, and looking at the various years and relating this information with some ground data, maybe from the Kenya Met or any Met agencies that you know, to see how that relates to what you are seeing. The other one is just an overview of how you can look at the water extent for a lake. This is Lake Baringo in Kenya, looking at it over a period of time and even creating maybe some animation to communicate with some policymakers. This one is on urbanization, just for example of Nairobi in Kenya, showing how we can use the built-up index and NDVI and NDBI to show some assessments over time, and comparing this with the products from the European Space Agency, the urban temps, very interesting stuff. And from this, which is the same of the same, you can see the changes over time, the change in this particular year and the change in that particular year, 2019, and even generating an animation somewhere which you can present for various forum. This is an example of coastal change. This is something actually, some of these actually I'll show you where these notebooks are. They're actually in the real world, and the frequently used code. These are things we can actually jump in just this week that we are now experts at week 6. We can actually be able to generate some of these products and be able to share with some various colleagues and see and get some feedbacks. So this is a coastal change of Mombasa over time, and you can see the changes over like 4 or 5 years, and you can see the changes in the coastline, which will be very useful to communicate with other policy makers. This is an example of change in the forest cover in case of a forest in Kenya. And here we are using the vegetation change notebook, which gives you an assessment. And actually you're able to export some of two of the files that you can view in your JS software like QGIS and make some assessments. So this was just an idea to kick off this meeting, because Stella also has some presentation for us if she's ready.
Can we have questions concerning your presentation, Ken?
Yes, Professor.
Or wait for Stella.
Oh, please ask as Stella prepares herself.
No, my question is about how this kind of information can be made accessible to the ordinary person so that they can be able to make informed choice, like the issues of the case of Lake Baringo and the Mau Forest, the community involvement. And I've seen that can actually Digital Earth Africa partner with the local hubs to be able to translate some of this information in the local language, because there's no need of us having such kind of information. And I've looked at it even previously with the data cubes, that we analyze it among ourselves, but the community don't get to know what it is. Can we make a difference out of this training, how we can empower the ordinary person on using the Digital Earth Africa information to inform them from agriculture to environment to weather and also to the ecosystem?
Thank you very much, Rosemary. I believe this is the work that you are doing together with Professor McLeod on the citizen science approach and with the ProCall project.
Yes.
Oh, thank you very much. This is a very good point, and we've actually noted it. Thank you so much. And I think once we reach there, you'll be our champion, hopefully. Rosemary, Stella, over to you, please.
Okay, hi. So this coming Friday, we at IFAD are presenting the impact analysis of mangrove changes in Djibouti. So that's why upon that project, I reached out to Kenneth and Edward, who have been very, very helpful. I'll share my screen of the notepad that we particularly used for this analysis. Okay. So I believe all of you can see my screen now. So particularly our main interest as part of this project at IFAD is understanding the changes in mangrove over time, the whole of mangrove that are located in Djibouti, and to understand how much has changed in between 2010 to 2016, or because basing on the shapefiles that are available through Global Watch Mangrove. So because of that, we were able to download 2010 shapefiles, 2015 and 2016, but in our analysis, based on how we could able to do yesterday through the help of Kenneth and Edward, we were able to analyze 2010 and 2016. So basically what we did is we used satellite Sentinel-2 images because Landsat 8 was not available covering Djibouti, so we used Sentinel-2, and because of its time availability, we analyzed between 2017 to 2019. And once we already loaded the images, I'll go directly into the analysis so that we don't spend much time. So one of the things that I liked about using of Digital Earth Africa is the masking part where I used NDVI values. There were research analysis or papers that Kenneth provided for me of how we indexed the values. We divided into three. So first we identified those that are actually the cells or the pixel values that are actually mangrove analysis or mangrove pixels, and then after that we classified them into either they are open or closed mangrove pixels, and based on the mangroves, we were able to identify for the regular ones were the ones that were either less or equal to 0.7, and for the closed that were above 0.7. And then through that, you were able to identify in between using the shapefile, especially of 2010 that I'm currently showing, the existing regular and closed mangroves in between the period of 2017, 2018, and 2019. A similar analysis, I'll be changing my tabs a little bit, is the same that happened into the shepherds that were provided by the Global Forest Watch for 2016. So we're able to identify regular and closed boundaries, mangroves for both 2017, 2018, and 2019. And of course, if you zoom a little bit in, you can see a little bit of slight differences in between the two. So that for us was key, just identifying the types of existing mangroves in Djibouti. Then as we proceeded with the analysis, the key interesting part for me was identifying all the changes in classification in area over time. And so what helped me a lot in understanding how much has changed, especially for 2010, is looking at this curve in between the period of looking at the types of mangrove that existed in 2010, either regular or closed, how much has changed in between 2017 to 2018 and to 2019. So you can see there was a little bit of much change, especially on the regular closed boundaries, or also regular and closed. There was a little bit change in the closed boundary in between the period of 2017 to 2018, and then there was a reduction between it in between 2018 to 2019. Why is this very necessary, especially to IFAD, is to understand the changes in vegetation, especially around the mangrove areas, because we are trying to understand how much deforestation has occurred in that particular period of time. Similar analysis was done in also in 2016 shapefiles, and we got also almost a similar curve. Another thing, when I was looking at the area of 2010 and 2016, the differences in the shapefiles that were provided by the Global Forest did not have really much difference, just a little tiny difference, but it was still notable. And then when it came to changes, monitoring the changes in the mangrove, this was very particular for me because I wanted to identify which are the new mangroves that were able to grow in 2017. Were they the same in particular in 2018? And were they also the same changes in 2019? So one of the interesting factors that I realized, there was an increased change in between the period of 2017 to 2018 in mangrove changes. However, between the period of 2018 to 2019, there was a reduction. So this is very key in us understanding why was there a reduction in the mangrove? Is it because of climate change or because of human factors? So those are the factors that this analysis will be enable me to understand in depthly. And so for me, those were the most interesting screenshots that I'll be able to carry in my presentation. I'm still making my final presentation, but up to this far, this is how I've been able to reach through the help of Kenneth and Edward. and Edward. And I believe this analysis will be very key to us, especially because the team that will be presenting, I'll be presenting to are not the really technical part, but people who are going to use it in terms of decision making, especially to the government of Djibouti. And with that, I'm really thankful to Kenneth and to Edward. And in case anyone wants to contribute to anything, it's highly welcomed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stella. I think if you are now in a conference, everyone will be clapping, including myself, whom I've started. This is very great work, and I welcome any comments or feedback. I can see your goose has a bulb on his head. So any comment from any of us? I can see Wallace,
Yes,
you've joined us. Yes, sir.
I think she's Stella. I didn't join much, but from the little bit I've seen so far, I think you've done a very good job. Congratulations.
Thank you, Wallace. It means now we can also partner with you to do more stuff for MOFA, and also we have your colleagues Dorcas in this call. Thank you so much, Wallace, for bringing more people on board.
Thank you very much, sir.
So any comments for Stella? She has a very big presentation on Friday, and I think from this part I can see Corel has raised his hands. So as we wait for your questions, Stella's work is very good, and that demonstrates that the possibility of that mangrove for that particular area. I'm also looking at another volunteer for today as I Yep. So I was trying to look at the original notebook, which will make Stella also very excited to see how this one works for a different area. So this was based on the original. Let me first, yes, our guest of honor, Edward, is joining us. So this is based on the, my colleague also started with an overview of the same for Mombasa in Kenya. And I'm looking at the variability from the results that possibly the mangroves were not changing much for Djibouti. It's a small country, as Stella mentioned, then pretty much the coastal area is pretty much stable. Looking this one for Mombasa, this is within a creek area, so you expect very dynamism between the normal mangroves and the closed ones. And also plotting the same is similar to what Stella observed, and bringing much more at the very much end. You can see some variability, but a lot of constant results as it goes. So this is just one of the possibilities of what we can do for different cities. And I believe if I did this for Dakar, I could have different results. So that was just to give you an overview of what possible is there, and also taking you back to our class recently, is that we've all gone through the various notebooks. Just as a summary, there is a notebooks, like I share my screen, just as like a small revision. As you can see, we have various folders, of which some of you have been able to explore. So in the frequently used code, you can even generate animations. You can do some much more, mangroves, vegetation phenology, urban index comparison, etc. Some of the work we presented are just from these notebooks, fairly much. And should there be something specific, we can actually work together with our team to make more specific applications based on what we have. So the coastal erosion is here. Maybe I can show what I have for Dakar, just as we wait for questions and comments on the possible areas we can work on together. At least the volunteers for this week, we have Stella, who's done a great job. So this was some area in Senegal, the coast of Senegal. So we have the crop health, which was demonstrated by Stella in the first few weeks. There's much, much, much more that we can do. So from this point, maybe moving forward, we can have volunteers for today or next week's session and hear the kind of use cases you'll be working on. Starting with Wallace.
I think I'll hold up for now once I prepare something for next week.
And what are you thinking about the next week? Because I know you have very good ideas for us so that we will not miss this session next week, same time.
I'll work on something and let you know.
Thank you, Ali. Sorry for putting you on the spot.
Thank you, sir.
Any other volunteer for next week? I know Corel presented the other week. Also, he's welcome to share something with us next week or today.
I'll work on something probably for next week on matters agriculture, and I'll share it with you before I share it next week.
Thank you very much, Corel. I think next week looks very packed. We also had a volunteer from RCMRD. They are planning to show us the use case for Lake Baringo. So I'm collecting views for this week and next week. So please, we are happy to hear more from you. And also when we hear from you, we're also learning from each other, which is very great, creating a community or a practice of users. Any other volunteer for this week or next week?
Kenneth,
Yes.
it would be interesting because through the whole program, we've been seeing the use of optical data, that's Landsat and Sentinel. It would be key if anyone would do it, or I'll also try and practice before next week the use of radar in digital Earth Africa. I think I'll try and find what case study we can use. It would be interesting to see how digital Earth Africa can be implemented using radar, because I saw you have notebooks on the same.
Yes, Stella, this is for experimental for Ghana, but we are working towards something. Edward, do you have any
Okay.
update on this, or August, on our Sentinel-1?
For Sentinel-1, no information on it yet. But I know the team is working on it to make sure to also get those data sets available. For currently, it's only available for Ghana.
Okay, then that's perfect. Thank you.
I think since it's available for Ghana, Stella might want to connect with us and see what we can do for Ghana. As part of Stella's background, she did her MSc and she used a lot of ALOS, PALSA, and the others to investigate fire and biomass, I think.
Yes, yeah, those two. Yep.
Okay.
But
So,
I'll reach on the same before next week and see what you can do.
okay. So, Edward, we can share some sites like Bongo, somewhere where we can use the Sentinel-1.
Okay, Ken.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Stella. Any other volunteer for next week or for today?
Hello,
My
Mr. Kenneth.
boss, yes, Corey.
I heard you say something about Lake Victoria, Lake Baringo. I've been seeing on the news about flooding and what not to understand. I don't know if the person who will be doing that case study on Lake Baringo will be focusing on the like a warning system, kind of.
Yes, so partly they'll be showing the impact, and the other part they'll be showing us the exact timing of September, those specific dates you had in mind, like from September 5th to 20th, when we had a lot of this in the media, and right now it's already flooded. There are some areas we could see from the DA map, like maybe I can just show it on my screen.
Okay.
From the DA map, we were able to see what we have with the Sentinel-2 data, which should be on my right. And it's able to load, if you go to the data, you're able to see the indices. So there's a NDWI, which shows you like a lot of water around this time of 18th of September. And if you move closely, you'll see on the left side, I have a product called the annual water, which is a summary of all the water for a very period of time, which gives us a summary between the when it was not detected at red and when it's permanent. So it means this body, there's a small island Ololokwe, which is always water. And when you move the slider bar, you can see some changes on the right side where we have the Sentinel-2 data. So if I'm able to move between the dates, you can see what is happening. And since Corel, you are here, you are listening very much this on the media. Was there a specific date that I think it was towards the early, yeah, because it was towards early where these Lake Bogoria and Lake Baringo, the residents mentioned it's a distance of over 10 km, which like looked like it was a little bit submerged. And even the schools have opened this week, and we could see there's a lot of flooding still in
Yes.
some of the areas.
I'll extract the exact dates, then probably I'll come back to you.
Thank you so much, and also for the objective of the same as a follow-up. If you want to follow up with me, is that I can just share the link of my current map view, and you can view it from your side, which gives us a very good advantage of collaborating among ourselves and others, and also sharing with your colleagues who are not able to join the meeting. Thank you so much, Corel, for that. Any other volunteer for next week? Wallace, what's come to mind?
I was thinking about looking at the floods and then possibly look ahead of what is possible to happen with the floods down south and then up north. But from
yes.
because we've got series of floods lately. Within a week, we had a rainfall continuously from last week to early hours of Sunday. Last week, Wednesday, when we were having the meeting, it was raining. It was raining heavily at my end, and it hasn't been well. Yesterday, I went around to just do a survey and realized the water from uphill was coming with a very, very fast rate. So that shows that there's more to happen down south. So we need to see how best we can work on our early warning system.
Yes,
and then put it in the media.
Yes, thank you very much, Wallace. And I remember you have a piece of land which is in towards the north.
Yeah, that one too. Right now, it's happening basically on the upper east side, between upper east. That's looking between Wali Wali and then Gambaga. That stretch coming down towards Sabuba, as I told you the other time. They have a huge stream coming up from Burkina Faso, their dam. Once it's released, it streams down towards the south. So that needs to be looked at, although they have their issues of low land. And then I think the dam causes much of it than the rainfall. So it needs to be looked at.
Thank you very much, Wallace, for this. And I think Edward is listening closely because Edward is talking to NADMO. Maybe Edward has some feedback for us.
Yes, Ken. So I think what Mr. Adabo from NADMO is working on this very on the flooding. So what he planned was doing was trying to use the historical flood mapping to see from the past 10 years areas that has actually been experiencing flooding, and through that be able to develop a flood risk map out of it by superimposing some of the works. So it's something that is ongoing with NADMO and Victor with Victor. I think last week also, just as you said, Ghana experienced a lot of rainfall from especially from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It was continuously. Something that also we are trying to look into it. But when I checked with the Sentinel, the whole place was cloudy. The whole place was cloudy. Very because I was able to get for 2 different days. We didn't within a particular region, the place was cloudy, but we are trying to look at different ways to be able to visualize the scene.
Thank you very much. I think August has a comment for us.
Actually, I don't for once.
Okay, because your mic is on.
I'm sorry.
Hello, Ken.
Yes, Wallace.
Yeah, please. I don't know what are our chances of getting clearer images with this cloudy issue. I don't know how best you can help us to get clearer images from the historical data we have. You try to pick a point, and within that period, the place is cloudy, so you can't do anything about with that data. What help can we get from there? Because according to Edward, he got something, but it was cloudy.
So Walter,
yes.
that's why one of the let me answer. So that's why we are trying to also depend on the historical data that we have. Digital Earth Africa has a historical data on the water observation from space, which is more than 10 years. So according to Victor Adabo, we are trying to use that historical data to actually identify areas that has been flooded using the return period, so that you know that okay, this area has been flooded continuously. So as time goes on, you use that historical data to be able to also predict areas where it could be flooded as very soon. But for now, using the Sentinel-2 is very cloudy, but we are depending on the historical data to be able to predict. So we'll keep updating you on the progress, how it goes.
Okay. I get your point. By my point now, I think I don't know whether it's just us, but I noticed from the news that places that never had flood is getting flooded now. So my point is, if we can get, I don't know how to bring it out or put it down for us to take a look at, but possible areas which can get flooded in the course of time due to what is happening or the flow of water from up north. That's what I'm trying to bring up, where we can have flood. Some parts were never experiencing that. So if you're going to look at the historical data, that means something in the past, but I'm thinking of possible places with what is happening now that can get flooded. I don't know whether you get my point.
Yes, Walter.
Walter.
Yes, Walter, we get your point. So I think with the flooding issue, it contains a lot of methods that you have to use, which most of them is mostly, it's also involving. So if Walter, you are really ready to also be involved and work together with NADMO, we can actually find ways to bring the solution out, because it's actually involving, very, very, very involving. But once you're able to get the method right, you'll be able to get the imagery to do to predict the chances of identifying these areas.
Okay, I think then I'm ready for it. So please let me know then.
Okay, Walter.
Okay.
Thank you, Edward, for that good response. And I believe opportunities to work together in this collaboration. So in this meeting, we've been joined by Dainaba from CSE. Please, you can greet us.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Okay, thank you. I'm sorry I'm late. I just joined. I was busy.
No problem, Dainaba.
And
Please
I'm
welcome.
following also the discussion. I'm following this discussion.
Thank you, Dainaba. We were sharing some of the use cases that we are working on, and Stella talked about monitoring the mangroves in Djibouti, which she was able to present. Then Wallace is looking into how we can monitor floods in Upper East Ghana. Then Corel from Kenya will present on agriculture next week. Also Wallace. Then we have Arshia Madi who will present on Lake Baringo next week. So we are looking for volunteers who present today and next week so that we can also learn from each other.
Okay. Okay, so maybe let me check next week. We will designate someone who also could share it. We are very sorry for the TSA team couldn't attend at times this scheme, but they have it in mind, and Aziz and Babakar told me they will download and continue the session. We were also involved in other activities. That's why the time was not suitable for us to follow every session. But we do it after this, and that's why I was asking you if we can download the session and do it also in our own way.
Yes, Dana, but the materials you can access, and I think there's a way you can download the HTMLs on an offline system.
Okay, thank you. Because also for the internet issue, sometimes also you have it will be easier to download the material and after you try to do the exercise yourself. Thank you. And we are learning from the others also.
So that means I'll book you next week for Wednesday to present for us one of the works that you're doing.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Tainaba. My colleague Musa from DLab, I think he dropped out. So any other volunteers for next week? Otherwise, with silence,
Yeah.
I have Wallace, I have Corel from Kenya, I have Arsia Madi, and I have Dainaba. I think we have 4 persons.
Ken, is there a way I can brush on something today out of mind so that at least I get a helping hand with my outcome so we don't waste the time? At least that will also bring people to what has gone on so far.
Yes, please.
So I would like to share with you what I did on the wager.
Yes.
That's the monitoring the water bodies.
Yes.
Okay. So let me share the screen then. Hello, everyone.
Yes, we can hear you.
Please, can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Basically, I took down side of this wager dam has got a little bit of issues with floods lately. So I took a look at it by using one of the monitoring tools we used last 2 weeks on water bodies. And then looking at it down, after selecting the area, this is the entire area of where the water is. Now, when you look at it, a lot of communities just at the banks of it, and then there's a main highway on it. Now, this stretch gets flooded with no movement. So that brought my mind as to looking at what we can do to get people know how to move around that side. Now, looking at it, I selected I loaded the page with specific dates as we took the other time, and then I got the time dimensions to be 20. So I selected a lower time than the 20 here to be able to populate data because I wanted a 90% quality view of the image I was looking out for. Then these are the images I got. 2 images I got, but one had clouds. Both of them have clouds, but the one on the left here, as you can see, has got a lot of clouds, which doesn't show much lower part of it. But this one didn't show much with the time. This was between 2018 and 2019, a period of a year. Now, computing the band indices, I focused on the time difference between the below the 20. And looking at this place, the distance and the resolution. As I spoke about, I selected in a number of meters, that's which was up to 1,000. And this is what I got at the special reference with the water body area. As you can see, from the January 2018 to January 2020, there has been a huge time difference with the area in kilometers. I wanted more explanation as to how to interpret this to a layman. So I'm looking at how to send it over for more explanation as to how to present it to a layman or policymaker to see how to get issues addressed with this table. Now, looking at the average of that table, I realized there's a huge change with comparing from this water body, the area, and then the average in NDCI. I noticed in what you showed to us, Ken, use the NVI. I don't know how best we can get to that side and see what that can also bring to us to understand this particular place very well. Hello, Ken.
Yes, that one for water, we use the NWI, the Normalized Difference Water Index. And also as a clarification of what you're observing is that if you can move slightly up, this is just an index of the chlorophyll, which should be opposite of the water index above, the one above if you can move up cell 12. This here is a plot of assessment of water from space. And what I'm noting in Ghana is that towards early of the year, it's slightly dry in February.
Yeah, due to the harmattan from the December late season. Yeah.
So it means we have increased rain around July, August, towards September, and that explains why we have the recent rains in September, October for most of West Africa.
Okay.
Then if you move down now, this index on the chlorophyll is opposite of the other one, so that when you have less water, we have the exposure on the chlorophyll and the algae.
Okay.
Perhaps Edward has more information about this wager. I think he mentioned he has been to this place.
Yeah, and I actually sent this file to him.
Okay.
For him to look at. I think to the three of you.
Yes.
August, you, and then Edward. Yeah, I think I sent this file to you. I wanted to have a very deep understanding of it as to the changes.
Yes. So pretty much is as we explained early the year in February, as you can see from where you're clicking, we have less rainfall, and towards there's a slight drop towards June, and most of the times have been around there. The rain season is around August, September, with a small climax in November. Then January we have slightly decrease.
Yeah.
Especially like in Sierra Leone, most of it is in August, and most of Senegal, September is at the peak. So this is the beauty of having the diversity. And what I'm thinking, since you've shared this, I could do the same for wager on this map, so that I also help convince you what you're seeing.
Okay.
For the purpose of this session that we have right now. So the same notebook or the same view that I sent on the chart, we can still use it to get an assessment of what is happening over time. And you mentioned something on the times. So on my left, this is the product Edward was referring to, the annual water summary over time. And you can see which has been very much consistent. It's just some parts here. Sometimes we have some water, and whenever when Weja is full, some of the water maybe discharges to the ocean. Would that be the story?
No.
It's the other way around. They actually drain to
Yeah.
Weja. So
Yeah.
that's why these these colors in between means sometimes there's some stream flow into Weja, and also there's some water around here over time. But now when I come to the Sentinel-2 image here, I can look at different dates, or rather I can choose to have a new location so that I can zoom in the Sentinel data to this particular location.
Okay.
So I think some of these things we are addressing is pretty much the questions you had with the ARDC sometime earlier on.
Yeah, yeah.
And this one I can do first the simple RGB for the purposes of us. And you can see the story you are saying that the cloud story is not so good.
Yeah.
So we were talking about the last weeks, and today we are in that must have been 7th.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's why we are talking about the SAR data for now, but there are times we are fortunate when you use the notebooks. When you do the 90%, you're able to filter out some of this stuff. And the results don't look so nice either. Yeah, so this cloud story, we are working on it. And I think there are some colleagues who are working also on a cloud buffer tool. I remember August, the times when we used to use the Landsat 8, we had a tool from USGS called the LDAPS, which used to run on a C program. So I had some colleague who used to work on that and process some of the data that we could use for other projects. So I know we've come a long while, but we'll be able to overcome this story, especially now that we add in more data sets. Thank you, Wallace, for bearing with us.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So I wish to recognize Musa from DLab. You can greet us, please, sir. So also I wish to recognize Victor Usu from the GSS. Please greet us and tell us how things are.
Good morning, colleagues. And good afternoon to some of you. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Yes, I'm still on it, and I'm here to contact D for assistance, just because I've not been active on it. So I've not been calling, but I'm still on it and trying to catch up with the system. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much,
and
Victor.
we are still preparing for the census, and also my colleague Selassie, who is also in charge of the enumeration maps, is also busy combining, and Charles Som, who is also another active member of this group, is also being caught up in another meeting, pressing issue that they need to respond to, because we are planning for the census and another third phase of the trial census as well. So we have been challenged, but still we need this exercise as well to move on, because Digital Health Africa will be with us. Census is just a stop shop. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Victor. So any other volunteers for next week, so that we could end the meeting today, and some of you could continue with some of the tasks that are ahead of them. Otherwise, I'm very grateful that we've listened to some of us, and we are very happy with the progress. And very soon you'll be receiving your certificates. And also maybe a reminder is that we need to finish those quizzes. If you look at the website, there's a quiz for session 1, which maybe some of you even have not noticed. The objective here is to help each other to get this certificate, and also do the use cases and see how at some point we can publish this on our new website, and also publications in the journals, conferences. There's many more opportunities, including also networking with other colleagues. So as you can see, the quizzes are there, they've been added, the updates are there, and we are very grateful for those who have been able to complete. I know some of us are very busy, and we are very grateful that you've made some time to look at the material. Some of you are already experts, like Stella, the work she's doing. She's on already her second use case. Wallace is on his second use case, and many, many, many more. Corella has, I think, 3 use cases. Rosemary has several use cases she's thinking about. Dana, I think she has 2 use cases, something on flooding, something on coastal erosion. So there are many, many use cases. I believe even next week we might go for 2 hours. So I don't know how much is there, but it's all user driven. It's you are the ones who are actually doing the great job. We are very happy for that. So any other topic or update as we turn on our cameras for a group photo or selfie?